Welcome to this edition of the Geek Studio. Geek Studio is a show about technology, innovation, entrepreneurship for you. In our show today, I have a guest, a gentleman who has really worked hard to be where he is today, and he's going to tell us his name, his early life, and what he's doing currently. Hi, James.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Geek Studio.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, I met you at the Great Talks at KICC that you organized, and I talked to you about the Geek Studio show on Youth TV. Now, in the show today, the viewer out there is interested in knowing who is James Wambugu. Please.
Thank you very much. Probably the first time I've really been told to say who I am.
Yes, thank you.
I've attended interviews and I try to avoid that because sometimes, you might be blowing so much of your own trumpet. And sometimes it's good to let other people blow your trumpet because sometimes it could be very, very short.
Sure.
And whatever I'm going to say might sound like very great.
Okay.
The truth is there are many greater people. There many lesser people. Each one is greater in a certain way, lesser in a certain way. I think there is a saying in the Desiderata which says, do not compare yourself with others.
Yes.
Because there will always be greater and lesser people than yourself. So I hope what I'm going to be sharing, as my life is maybe some people will see that they probably can fit in there and they'll be inspired by it.
Please.
The others, I don't think everyone has to follow the same script because we are all different personalities. Mm-hmm. So there will be people who benefit from what I say as myself and what I have come through. So as you said, my name is James Wambugu. I work for UAP. I know you would like me to say that I'm the Group Managing Director for General Insurance. Yes. I've been working for UAP since 2003. Didn't start as MD. I only became the MD of the insurance company in 2009. Before that, I had done some stint as the head of strategy. And when I joined, actually, I was looking after risk management and compliance issues. I'd worked I started work at PricewaterhouseCoopers back in, when I was in university, back in 1989. And when I finished, after finishing a BCom and MBA in 1992, I started working for Pricewaterhouse on a full-time basis. I got a stint of working for PwC in the UK in 1996 to 1998. And I left Pricewaterhouse in 2000 to join London Africa, where I was the head of internal audit for the business across Africa and part of the UK. And then left them after 2 years when London basically was scaling down, and we closed down the internal audit department, and I became the group risk manager for African lakes for about 2 years. Before then, I joined UAP. Okay. And the progression you see there, I left PricewaterhouseCoopers because I thought I wanted to be involved in the action rather than just being an advisor, being a consultant. And that's why I joined a department that would allow me to be involved in the action, seeing what people do, learn, and then I can go and apply it in real life myself. So auditing, internally auditing people, you see what they do and you ask questions why they don't do some things that they need to do, so that you learn what you should do when you get to the position where you are the one running the show. And going into risk management was a new area that I'd started learning about, transiting from internal audit, corporate governance to risk management, and I chose to invest my time in it to the point where I actually became a qualified risk manager. And that risk management really captures the essence of the entire business. Why are you achieving what you're achieving? What are you not achieving? So that's more or less in terms of my professional career. But my early life, which you'll be interested, I know the geeks, and for the first time I'm talking to geeks, as you call them. My early life, which is what they probably would identify more with, is I grew up in Nyeri, in a rural setting, really, not far from Nyeri town, but it was really rural setting. I went to a local primary school in my village. We are doing some great things at the moment in that.
Let me just interrupt shortly.
Yes.
maybe there's a viewer there, he's from your village,
Yes.
but he doesn't know that, he or she doesn't know that you are from the same place. Which is this primary school?
I think they all know me because I spend a lot of time in the village.
Ah,
They probably are maybe the ones who spend less time than I do, but I come from a village called Ivenguri.
Ridenguri.
It's basically near Roringo, which again, you could say we are about 5-6 kilometers from
The
here.
famous Roringo Stadium.
Yes.
Aha.
When I was growing up, I could hear the administration police band play in the morning when I was rushing to school, which was like 300 meters from our home. I could hear them play as they were preparing for the show. So that's how close we are to Nyeri town. But even today, when you go there, you still find that the life is really very traditional. The structures are not collapsed. The clans are still strong. The family settings are strong. And that's the background around which I grew up. I had a lot of great influence from my grandmother. My parents, yes. But my grandmother was these very conscientious people who I had to spend a lot of time with because of certain, because we needed to keep her company during the evenings. And myself and I think two of my brothers, we really spent so much time, including spending a lot more nights in her house than in our own home, because we needed to keep her company because my grandfather had died. And my grandmother was a very conscientious woman, and she would comment on almost every specific issue. And in there, you picked the way someone needs to live, the way someone picks up integrity issues, which obviously, on the other hand, were being enforced through discipline by my parents. So it became pretty easy for us, and I have to say that that was a big, I would say blessing to get that opportunity because her influence in me, her influence in my two brothers, is very apparent in terms of how we grew up. So I finished standard D7. Those of you now know the geeks go to class 8.
The system that time was 7, 6. 2, 3, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
So I went to, I did pretty well. I dropped 1 point in the CP.
Congratulations, James. That was good. That was good. I must congratulate you.
I got 35 points. There are people who got 36 points. So
that is good.
Really
awesome. Wonderful.
Yeah. So because I think performance used to be pretty good in Nyeri district those years, I actually didn't get my first choice school. So I went to Chiga Boys for Form 1 to Form 4. Some of the highlights I can remember in Chiga Boys is, I remember I'm this kind of person who really hates, when people are mistreated. And then I remember when we were in Form 1, I actually somehow got the administration to deal with the problem of molesting Form 1s. Bullying Form 1s.
Yes.
And
a very, very big problem. I remember I went through it and
when I was in Form 2, when now we're on the side that we could molest them and bully them, I actually led my class to basically kill that culture because it was not a very good culture.
It was not.
And I did reasonably well in Form 4. Let me just say, when you are that age,
yes,
you have to start thinking, so what will I be? What do I want to be? So for me, I'd set my benchmark. I'd say that the lowest I should be is better my father and become as good as he may have been. My father was a primary school headmaster. So I said I have to. So the worst I thought I should be was to go and become a teacher. But I used to be very good with broadcasting. I loved listening to broadcasts. And I could repeat them. So my dream and early on was actually to become a broadcaster. I was in Kenya Institute of Mass Communication. But I had said, look, if I do very well and go to high school, then I'd have to look at what option there are. And I was very blessed to pass very well in my Form 4. And I went to Machako School for my high school.
For A levels.
Yeah, I went to... And by this time now, I met when we just finished Form 4. I had a sister of mine who was just slightly older than me, and she had a boyfriend who had just finished university, and he was from Kisii. And what happened is,
It's okay.
what happened is So I met him. He had just finished university. He was an auditor at the provincial headquarters in Nyeri, and I really wanted to understand. So what does an auditor do? What And it looked for me glamorous. So when I went to high school, I said, I think I want to be an auditor. So I said, what do you need to do to be an auditor? And when we were choosing the university courses, at that time I realized that it was I needed to do BCom, which is what I applied for. Everyone expected me to apply for law because I was doing pretty well, and including my parents. But I said, I don't want to be a lawyer and know someone has killed someone and I'm trying to go to court to try and show how they happened. I couldn't relate those two, given what I had experienced, learning I had picked from my grandmother, and therefore then I went. That's how I ended up finding myself going to the University of Nairobi to do BCom, which I joined the university in 1987, and then I finished in 1990, the first degree. 1989 is when Pricewaterhouse recruited me when I was still in college. I continued working with them when I finished, but then I got a scholarship from the government to study an MBA. So I went back in September 1990, and I finished my MBA in 1992, after which now I came to work full-time for Pricewaterhouse. I give the story about Pricewaterhouse and Lonro and the UAP.
Thanks.
You can connect it.
It's okay. Thanks, Jim. I can see my director is showing me that we need to go for a break. But just before we go for a short break, I can tell you that your life, your background and everything is very, very inspiring, especially to the geeks who is now watching us now. Now, when we come back to the next session of the Geek Studio, I'll ask you about what is it that you are currently doing at UAP as the group MD of General Insurance. That's the bit that will take us through the product portfolio, the verticals and all that you are doing as the MD, and the innovation bit that you have already implemented and you are intending to implement. So Geeks, we are breaking for a short break. It has been a pleasure to have James in the Geek Studio. He has taken us through his early life, the background, where he comes from, his early education, and to the point that he is now. So see you after the show, after the break.